It was a special evening for us earlier tonight. During his 10-year NBA career, Craig Hodges was known for his three-point shooting. He led the league twice, and in 1991 hit 19 straight in the three-point contest. But he believes making points of another kind cost him his career. When he and his championship-winning Chicago Bulls teammates visited the White House in 1992 in the aftermath of the LA riots, he delivered a letter to President George H.W. Bush detailing the problems plaguing the country. Hodges believes that moment of activism led to his never playing again in the NBA. He would ultimately lose a 1996 lawsuit against the NBA based on that premise, but his 25-year-old story resonates as a marker on the timeline of athletes and activism.
I think the fundamental duty of the athlete is to exemplify the highest level of excellence.
Cleveland! This is for you!
And there is a direct connection between excellence on the court and trying to live a life of integrity, honesty, and decency.
First, I want to thank Almighty God for His mercy for us to meet like this in such violent times, but at the same time, for us to be able to meet like this in a peaceful situation.
My grandpops, my uncles, they all taught me about the conscious athletes of that time. Jim Browns, Muhammad Ali's, Lou Alcindor's, Kurt Flood's, guys that I look to as far as being able to balance consciousness and balance their sport.
What we're really talking about is refusing to separate athletic excellence with moral excellence.
People can't help but respect somebody who puts themselves out there in front of the whole world, cameras, the game's on the line. So when they then put themselves on the line for a cause, it just is arresting. The history of your country politically can't be told without telling the history of the country athletically. When you think about Hodge going to the White House wearing a dashiki.
When I go to a royal occasion, I should dress in my royalty garment. Bush was cool to me when I got to the White House. That's an awesome garment.
And handing Bush a letter about every problem in the country.
When you meet the president, you can't give him anything. So in proper protocol, I gave it to his press secretary.
That takes a lot of integrity. Most people, when they get to the White House, they're not thinking about the whole world and how they can make a difference.
I didn't ever think that me going to the White House, asking President Bush to consider the issues of black people would cost me $40 to $50 million. I'm leading the league in three-point percentage. I'm a two-time world champion. I'm a three-point shooting champion 3 times in a row, and can't nobody use my services?
Whereas Brother Hodges saying, you know what? I'm willing to give up a career, as it turns out, at least on the court. You go with the cause, which means you got to bear cause.
So my cause is my people. And I think it's not only noble, but it's worthy, and it's time to do it.
I think that the LeBron James generation looks back and they see Muhammad Ali is respected for what he did in the ring and beyond the ring. Michael Jordan is a god for what he did on the court, but nobody has a word to say about what he did off the court. I think this new generation wants both. They want to dominate on the court and in their athletic role, but they also want to be relevant, and that's a big change.
It is time that we take a deep look at our ability to be compassionate and empathetic to those suffering from the problems that are deep within our society.
If my son gets pulled over and you just listen to the police, I'm not that confident that things are gonna go well and my son is gonna return home. It's a scary ass situation.
And so when LeBron comes on the court and symbolically makes a kind of gesture of solidarity with Black Lives Matter, he's just saying, look, I'm a brother from Ohio who recognizes that I'm trying to be a force for good. And a force for good means being able to make some connection with people who are fighting for justice.
We stand here tonight accepting our role in uniting communities to be the change we need to see.
Athletes can reach people with their social media feed that CNN can't reach.
Back in the day, if somebody wanted to cover you, it was a matter of the spin that they put on it, where now you can put your own spin on things. We have to realize the fact that we have some power within the context of where you are.
Every wielder of power must be held accountable no matter what color they are.
Just because somebody puts on a team jersey doesn't mean that they give up their citizenship. everybody gets to talk, including the athletes.
I think it's only right that I utilize that platform to change lives. It's the poor people's program that Dr. King was on when he died. He gave us the evil triplets: racism, militarism, and economic exploitation. If we deal with them three, we will deal with all the ills on the planet. And those are the marching orders that he left for me. So in all of this, I was dealing with Dr. King, giving me my marching orders on those principles.
You think back to the words of Dr. King, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I remember that time. You know, I applaud Craig Hodges for what he did, you know, to take a stand at that time and that moment. He probably said to himself, when am I going to have the opportunity to influence the president of the United States? You know, how many championships am I going to win to actually have that happen? So I applaud him for that. I also, the only thing that I do want to be wary of is the accountability of other people. I think sometimes that we get caught into, well, Michael Jordan's not doing enough. This guy's not doing enough. And that's kind of circumvents what the cause is really about. The cause is really about, what are you doing and what do you need to do? But when you get caught into someone who is at a level that you think should be doing more, I think that's the trickery that sometimes gets misguided. But I know as an individual and as a African American, the first time in my life, and I've said this before, first time in my life that I've ever hugged anyone from another race was through sports. Right. Winning a basketball game. I hugged someone from another race. First time ever. So there is no race in between those 94 feet for a lot of us. So we do march at a different drummer and we do march at a different pace. But I think overall, everyone should be applauded. Yes, Michael Jordan can be applauded in whatever efforts he do behind the scenes. But more importantly, Craig Hodges, we're going to applaud you a little bit louder because you stood up a little bit higher.
You know, number one, it always bothers me when people try to piggyback on your Michael Jordan point. People have no idea what he does. Just because he is not out there shouting every time something happens, I think he gets a bad rap for that. I don't know everything Michael has done for charity, number one. I don't know everything Kenny or Shaq could do, but they don't. They always bring him up.
Well, he's the greatest player of all time in our era, but he doesn't have to be on the same soapbox because he might not be as eloquent and maybe not as informed at that time, at the time that things are happening. So I'm not trying to push that weight away from Michael, but I'm trying to say, since you do know, and I applaud you, Craig Hodges, because you did know.
But also, listen, it's up to every individual what they want to do. I look at it different being from Alabama. It's important and significant for me to try to make a difference and talk to kids all the time about giving, number one, because, Craig said something interesting. As I said earlier tonight, when people talk about race, it makes me interested because very few people have a pure heart. Because you have to open yourself up and say, no, where do I stand on race relations? I think it takes a bigger person to say, I got nothing against any other races. I talked earlier tonight about, I think in Arizona, I think we treat the Hispanics bad. I think they're amazing, amazing people. And we got rid of that idiot Sheriff Joe. Should have got rid of him a long time ago, but I think we have given the Hispanics in Arizona a bad rap. I think we got this thing going on now where we're disrespecting Muslims, who I think got some amazing Muslims out there. But I'm going to always be open-hearted. I'm never going to judge anybody by their race. Every person represents I judge every person on their own. And I'm glad that Turner Sports, it's the second year in a row we did something really spectacular on MLK Day, one of the greatest human beings ever. And I just thank Turner Sports for giving us this platform to say what we want to say.
How do you approach that whole situation of being a high-profile guy and weighing in on various social matters?
Well, you just have to, one, you have to be educated to know what you're talking about. Two, you can't try to take on situations by yourself. Anyone could, be quick to say, Charles not doing this, or you're not doing that, or you're not doing that. It's a team effort. There are people above us that have more power than us that should be also doing stuff. That goes for the senators, that goes for the congressmen, that goes for the mayor. So, if we all do what we're supposed to do, this world would be a better place. But, I just try to, speak from the heart, and like if I'm educated about the situation, I will say something. But, if I don't really know what's going on, like, a lot of times, Ernie, I don't take the word of the media of what happened. I have to really like get into the situation, see what happened, because, you know, a lot of things happen that shouldn't be happening. But, you know, everybody has to do their part.
Hit the point.
Ernie,
Hit it.
You know, it's my opinion that we need to get some of those good old boys up, you know, some of those good old boys in Congress. We need to get rid of some of them people because, you know, some of them good old boys been up there 40, 50 years and they ain't doing nothing.
Well, I have one more thing to add. Ernie, I'm sorry, but I think he hit it there. It's just educating yourself because you have a hit record doesn't mean I want you to speak for me.
Right.
And
or dunk a basketball.
Or dunk a basketball. But also, if you have a hit record and you have you dunk a basketball really well, you should educate yourself because you have a bigger responsibility. But doesn't mean I need you to speak for me.
As far as what Craig Hodges is up to these days, the head basketball coach at his old high school in Chicago. Back to wrap it up on Inside.
Good job, Craig.
In just a minute.